that they were that lucky twice. They also had the backing of a local priest who was very much like, this is just how we live.
Ram it all home, making sure it's all nice and tight. I haven't got a burning match yet, but there'll be a bit of match on here, and then what you would do, you'd have to try your match. Now I don't know if you can see on there, again, when I did the school one, I always ask the kids, what does X mark the bottom mean? Treasure, treasure, treasure. No, it's not. So
we're just about to do a
X. Sometimes it's just a mark, a lot of time it's an X. When you try your match, you're bringing it down to make sure it hits that X. If you do, when you open your pan, you know it's going to go into it.
But I suppose if that is the case, I've been in that.
So once that's done,
then you'd have to run anyway.
you present your pieces, open, pull it, bang, and then off you go. It wasn't very useful, very inaccurate. The best thing for this weapon is when they went club muskets.
Dummy muskets.
Yeah. So you hold that, feel the weight of that. Now Debbie's got or Mark up, got hers. My flint, which I'll show you, is obviously hasn't. You can imagine that coming down again. Close quarters, street fighting, in the trenches. So this is,
I wish it were captured. Oh, but you'd be surprised with some people.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't damage you if you close onto it.
That's alright.
It's got a mop now.
Got a mocktail.
So we'll stay in shirt sleeves order for now until we're ready for going up and doing display, alright? Okay. About 11:30, jacket up and get hot.
get your warm pants on. It's going to be hot, isn't it? Yeah, I think another hole.
Yeah. I don't use it, I use my iPhone and just gave it to me.
No, because I probably got it on the phone.
Yeah, because I was Canon 500. I really enjoyed
Why are people holding these big sticks?
So these are called pikes, and they're like, they were used for...
Are you the government?
So you put that in the body on Parliament.
Yeah. We're going to form up. Are you recording me? I used to play in that.
You'll have to edit that.
Chris.
Yeah. But everything's good, bye. Fucking.
I've not even got the excuse that I'm facing the other way. Yeah, that's true, yeah, thank you.
Regiment, I believe.
Now you can write.
We are part of the Sealed Knot, which is still Europe's oldest and largest Re-Enactment Society. And during the course of this display, we'll take you through some of the arms and armour and explain what the different roles are.
Anyone got a lighter?
So, welcome to the English Civil Wars. The Civil Wars that happened in the mid-17th century between the supporters of King Charles I and the supporters of the English Parliament. So this was not just an English Civil War, despite the name. It was a war that engulfed the entire archipelago of the British Isles in Ireland, as well as the colonies in North America and the high seas. Now, first off, I need a volunteer. Madam, perfect. Thank you for volunteering. Oh, here, all right. That's not red. You see an eye doctor?
Put the girl in the pink. She's up for anything.
Okay. Steady on.
Where is it?
Hello, madam. How are you? Good, thank you. Now, can you tell me what were the names of the two sides who fought the English Civil War? The Royalists and the Parliamentarians. Perfect. Now, could I have Pikeman Rollinson and Musketeer Graham step forward, please? Now, you see two fine men before you. Which one's a parliamentarian and which one's a royalist? That's a royalist. Don't spoil it! Don't spoil it! So he could be royalist, parliamentarian. Go on, yeah. We're going to play the game, yeah? All right. Hands up if you think that's correct. Hands up if you think he's a royalist and he's a parliamentarian. Hands up if you think it's the other way around. Hands up if you think this is a trick question. There we go. It is a trick question because there could be either. This was a civil war. It was not a war between different peoples. It was a war contained within a country with people fighting on both sides from the same communities and often from the same families as well. Yeah, it's good. I've been delivering this talk for years, so it's kind of become more and more redundant as a question over time, because everyone's got a smartphone, right? Piece of technology that's changed the world. It's fundamentally reordered our society, the hierarchies in our society. And I want to show you another piece of technology that fundamentally changed the world. And it's this. This is the matchlock musket. It doesn't look like an awful, it's not really like a modern gun. It's quite simple, really. It's just a tube with a big hole at one end and a little hole at the other end. A musketeer will put gunpowder into the little pan just here on the side, close over his pan, put more gunpowder, some wadding, like paper or material, down the barrel along with a musket ball. Many musketeers would hold their musket balls in their mouth and just spit them down the barrel. These are pure lead musket balls, so imagine their breath. And then they would take a piece of match. Now this is rope that's been soaked in a saltpeter solution, potassium nitrate. Makes it burn slowly but consistently. They would attach the match to the serpent on the side there, and they would then pull the trigger, open the pan, and the serpent would dip the lit match into the pan of gunpowder. And hopefully, the gunpowder in the pan would go off. Hopefully, that would ignite the gunpowder in the barrel. Hopefully, a musket ball will come out the end, and hopefully, it will hit something. If you're very lucky, it might be the thing you're actually aiming at. Because this is an incredibly inaccurate weapon, particularly these more sort of short-barreled muskets that became more prevalent over the course of the Civil War as resources became tighter and tighter. If you could return to the ranks, please, gentlemen. The only way that the mascot musket was really effective on the battlefield was in big blocks. So this is our musket block. So you have musketeers from different regiments here. We've got Greys as well. We've got Lisles. We've got some Newcastles here with us this weekend. And you see them going through the process. Now this is quite a technical process, but a relatively easy one to learn. One of the reasons why the matchlock was such a revolution is because, and this is one of the questions we often get, why didn't they use longbows? That great medieval powerhouse of the English army. Well, the simple reason is that a longbowman requires huge upper body strength to draw back the string of his bow. And that takes a lifetime to develop, anything up to 20 years, to be able to pull back a proper long English longbow. Once you lost a soldier like that on the battlefield, gone forever. You then got to start again with somebody else. Whereas with a musketeer, you could hand them the matchlock musket, train them. I think it was about 10 sessions you needed in order to train them and then march them onto a battlefield. So this was an incredible democratization of warfare. Now it was something that you could pluck anyone out of a field or a town, put them into the block, train them up, and get them onto the battlefield. So you saw them going through the process, adding the powder to the pan, adding the powder to the barrel. We're not firing musket balls, you'd be happy to know, on this occasion. You'll see around the musketeers' chests, they've got that belt with all the little flasks on it. That's called a bandolier or a belt of boxes. Quite often you'll hear people tell you that they were called apostles, which is rubbish. It's a Victorian innovation. There aren't 12 of them, there's anywhere between 8 and 15. And each one of those flasks contains enough gunpowder for a single shot.
Musketeers,
which meant you're not having to measure it out on the battlefield yourself. Most of them are wearing priming flasks. So an extra score of gunpowder that they use to put gunpowder into the pan of their musket. The use of bandoliers also meant the musketeers were less likely to blow themselves up, which was a far more common occurrence than should have been comfortable at the time.
Left face. March off. Pike out the way so we don't shoot them. Right about face! Right face. Turn. Get your stick. Present your piece. Present your pieces. Oh, get on you. Prepare to give fire. Give fire. Cover, misfires out. Right about face.
As you can see, we've got a couple of musketeers going out the back to deal with misfires. So their gun has not fired. So they still have a loaded gun. So they have to take themselves away to deal with it. So they're taking you through the process again.
Please reform your body! Back out to where you were, guys. Right, come back in.
So a musket, as you can see, takes anywhere up to a minute to load and fire, and that's a long time to not be loaded. So really, it was only in these mass blocks that they will be effective, because you might not hit the person you're aiming at, but the guy next to him is probably going to be quite unlucky. And they created these incredible clouds of gun smoke, particularly if the weather was, if the air pressure was low. You had these great banks of gunpowder smoke drifting across the battlefield. The phrase fog of war had real meaning in the English Civil War. Many incidents of friendly fire, with units emerging out of the gun smoke and being fired upon by their own side. Now, one of the issues with the matchlock musket is the amount of time it takes to fire. We are going to, excuse me, Graham, going to do a fire and then that's not serviceable. So if they could come come back and retire the flank again, because only can see time. In my time, but I've yet to meet the stupid horse. And so the pike were there primarily to defend the musket in a formation called the Charge for Horse. Now, drums and colours, if you could retire. So this was a bit of a panicky last measure on the battlefield. If you come to one of the Seal Knot's larger events, you'll see this formation relatively often. But the idea in the Civil War battle was that the cavalry would engage on the wings, attempt to drive off their opponent, and then if they succeeded in doing that, they would then turn and attack the infantry. And the only way the infantry were able to defend themselves is in formations like this. So we'll come on to talk about the drums and the colour that are at the back there, but they're incredibly important on the English Civil War battlefield, and so they will be at the centre of this formation.
We're the cavalry.
Charge for horse! Charge for horse!
So you can see the pike are running over there, going to create a perimeter into which the musket can move.
Check your feet.
Chris, discharge happen, please.
I am going over
Check
here.
your feet. Prepare to give fire. Be covered.
So these formations
Reform
would
put the
try to
soldiers
ward
came
off
on the
cavalry
field.
to make them go away, and they would have to be tightly disciplined, because if the cavalry get rid of their horses, the thing with horses is they don't need to bear the group there if you're not waving something sharp or banging in their face. So come and rescue them. So these two wings of an English Civil War army had to work together in order to defend themselves. The pike would also be used as an offensive unit, so marching together towards the enemy pike. Once they get past the edges or the ends of the enemy pike, they could drop their pike, take out their secondary weapons such as a dagger, a sword or an axe, and engage in some fairly brutal hand-to-hand fighting. With an English Civil War battle, they rarely lasted very long. The Battle of Naseby was only about an hour and a half. because the idea was that the shock and awe of being hit would drive your enemies away. It was touch and go for Parliament at Naseby, but once the Royalists had started to break, it happens quite quickly. It's a cascade effect as more and more people try to flee. Now, you noticed that in the middle of the formation we had there were the drums and colours. And that's because actually they're the most important people in an English Civil War regiment. If you give us a tune. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. So drummers weren't just about creating a bit of atmosphere on the battlefield. They were actually incredibly important because they were a mobile communications platform. You've already heard how loud muskets can be. Imagine 1,000 muskets all going off at the same time. There's cannon going off, which you'll hear later today. There's people shouting, there's people screaming. Quite often, well, quite regularly on our battles, our commanding officers lose their voices almost immediately. So you needed some way to cut through the noise so people actually knew what they were going to do. And the drums were specifically there to communicate orders to the men. So on a big block of pike, for example, you would have drummers at each corner, and they would communicate, they would drum out certain drum beats depending on what the orders were. And the orders were, this is the heart and soul of the regiment. This is the centre of the regiment. If this falls, you better start running, because the enemy's gotten all the way to the middle of your formation. So everybody would make sure that this was defended against all costs. Enemy commanders would, when writing to their bosses about a victory, would list the number of enemy colours that were captured as a sign of how well and how total their victory had been. And it also was a way of signalling preparedness to fight. Ensign, if you could flourish the colour. He's flourishing the collar. Ensigns would go out to the front of their regiment at the beginning of the battle and wave them around like this, saying, we're here, we're ready to fight. It was the 17th century equivalent of saying, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Thank you very much. It's an apocryphal story. It didn't actually happen, but it is illustrative of how important the colour was. At the Battle of Edge Hill, the first big battle of the English Civil War, the King's Standard was captured by a parliamentarian trooper. It was eventually recaptured, and supposedly, as the story goes, when it was handed back to the king, it still had the ensign's hands attached. Didn't happen, but it is illustrative of the vital role that this played. So this man would defend this thing with his life. Thank you if you could be kind. So I'm not going to make them stand out too much longer. The musketeers have doused their mats, so they can't fire. But I've given you a brief overview of the different wings of the English Civil War Army. Haven't even touched on the cannon, which is over there. There will be a display later today with the cannon firing, and then we've got the skirmish at about 2:30. I hope you stick around for that. It should be an awful lot of fun. If you want to escape the heat, the Raven is just over the road and serves some absolutely delicious beer, as we found out last night. If this looks like fun, heat notwithstanding, that's because it is. We have an absolutely fantastic time doing this. We travel all over the country. We've got a massive event at Worcester on August Bank Holiday weekend, which if you want to join us or you just want to learn more about being part of the regiment, our recruitment tent is just over there. But in the meantime, advance your arms.
If you follow us on.
General salute to the fore. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Gunner! Charlie Musket! Ed, not John!
They're going to return to camp. Please do have a chat with them on the camp. We've got loads of really interesting living history personas. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Believe me, we've got them all already. But in the meantime, give a round of applause to Sylvia.
I'm happy to comply with you. You're welcome to do it.